Alright. Can we put it in or not?
It's too big. It's too big.
What? No, it's just the angle. Let's just try it.
Go slow.
Okay, I'm gonna put it in.
slow.
Alright?
Okay.
Okay, it's in.
It's in.
It's in.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Thank goodness. First paycheck as an OF creator.
How much was it?
It was always very negative, very stigmatized. I was just grinding. I was working like 60 hours a week. A coworker was threatening me, and I'm like, you know what? I can make more money than this. Never thought that I'd bring someone home.
When I first found out what he does, of course in the back of my head I was like, that's very different.
I'm assuming the family found out.
I was fearing this moment for so long. For her, it was, you are the worst possible human being.
We're super excited to be announcing our first ever collab with OnlyFans creator Sam Vu.
Are you guys ready to film?
Oh, we're just filming the intro.
Yeah, no, give us a minute.
Go get ready.
Yeah.
At only 23, Sam has amassed a following of 750,000 followers on X and is constantly ranking in the top 1% of all OnlyFans creators.
Today, we'll be getting to know him up close and very personal, from top to bottom.
I can't wait to hear about Sam's personal story. It's going to be so great.
So get yourself some tissues and sit down because it's going to be a wet one.
Yeah, there might be tears. Sam, are you ready?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. No. It's not that type of collab. No. Put your clothes back on.
Put your clothes back on.
Welcome
Welcome to my
to your home.
welcome to my home.
How many $1 million did you spend on this house?
We don't talk about it.
Million dong, Vietnam dong.
Million dong. It took a lot of dong to get here. Let me tell you.
I think I told you this has been an idea of mine for a long time. The thought of being able to show off that you as an OnlyFans creator, that's not just your personality.
Yeah.
And I think in a lot of people's minds, doing OnlyFans is such a way that they see people. And I just want to kind of break that mold and show that you are so much more than that. And over the last 2 days of being able to spend time with you and Chihua, seeing your relationship and how you guys interact, I think I've been really, really lucky to see a side of you that everyone else usually doesn't.
Oh.
I was going to say, which is interesting because people see every side of you.
When I started, it was always very negative, very stigmatized. Like, oh, you're doing OnlyFans, oh, look, you're traveling, you're just filming these videos all the time. But I think for me, it's like, it's been my journey and it's been my opportunity. Like, one day I was given the chance to break out, leave, and travel the world. So
yeah, I think what surprises me the most is that you are only 23. And like our conversations the last few days, I really got the sense that you've been through a lot more than the average 23-year-old has been through up to now. Like, I think like we're almost 30. I'm 30. He's almost 30. We've been through a lot ourselves, but we have 7 more years on you. But in terms of like life experience, maturity, I feel like you're really there. Did we start doing OnlyFans and then the family found out you're gay and OnlyFans? We're jumping here.
So
or did you tell them you're gay first?
So we had this conversation. It was like a little dinner. It was me, my oldest sister, and my mom. She was telling us about one of our cousins. And the story was basically that the mom was pushing him in a really wrong direction. It was a very typical situation. Like, I want you to be a doctor. He was like extremely smart, like got a full ride, like perfect scores on all these tests, everything. And it got to the point where, he's just continuing to try to make his mother proud.
Yes.
But it's like destroying him inside. It got to the point where after a year or two, he went from being that top student to not even be able to like wake up in the morning, She realized that this was similar things that she was kind of pushing on us. And she was like, guys, if you have anything to tell me, I want you to just be real with me. And it was such a trap. And then, my sister, she didn't out me, but we're sitting there and she's like, well, Sam has something to tell you.
Oh my
And I was
gosh,
like,
of course.
do I? For me, it was like, in your head, you're always like, when do I have to tell them? When are they gonna know? Type of deal.
Yeah.
And my mom really tugged at me with that story. I'm like, I think this is a good time.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, mom, I definitely like eased into it. I'm like, like I haven't been like attracted to people before, and I think I've always tried to listen to what you say, marry a girl, but I think I like guys. And she just starts crying. Like, It's really bad. It was shock and like the end is near type of thing. She kind of like saw it was brewing in her head.
Yes.
And this was at her, at this point, this was the worst possible thing that could happen for her.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, that was a pretty rough conversation. And it led to a lot of all the small things. Any chance to like be frustrated was like, why are you not throwing away your laundry? Like, throw away the fucking trash. Like, get out of the house if you're not going to do anything. Like everything just got louder and louder. And it was never about the trash. It was never about the laundry. It was just like this projection
Yes.
of all these
anger at
feelings,
you.
not wanting to talk about it, but just being so frustrated.
Wow. Okay. And then how long did you have to live with that for?
It was like a few months, I would say.
Wow.
And it was kind of just slowly, I think it was just like that constant growing intensity, not being able to talk about it, but knowing it was so much strain on the relationship, still living in the same household, and then like COVID slowly coming about and like not even leaving the house,
Wow. Yeah. So your mom, you kind of told your mom, came out to mom didn't really take it well. And then what happened during this COVID period? I feel like there's a dark space here.
The big shift, I guess, was that first year of college. Almost all the universities declared like, oh, we're going to defer a year, or we're just going to have school online. I went to Notre Dame, and it was one of the very few schools that was like, okay, we're in the midst of a pandemic, we're going to go in person. That's a draining experience, It was trying to navigate this new university experience during COVID, dealing with COVID, like making sure everyone's safe and healthy, and then also family life starting to get more difficult. Things financially seemed really strained. And that's where it kind of all just like, it all came together, and I think it crumbled for me.
What did that crumbling look like?
It became a sense of just like pressure constantly and uselessness, I guess, hopelessness. I think in all this, like in all these situations, it just felt like every effort that I put forward, whether it be with my family, whether it be with school, just felt so pointless. The experience of life was so sad. And then it got to the point where, it's like 3-4 months had passed. I was barely out of my room, and I didn't process any of it. And for me, that was like where I think things took a turn for the worse. So
It was a few months of things progressively getting worse.
yeah,
And then when you say things took a turn for worse, what do you mean?
I mean, just to the point where, I wasn't talking to anyone, whether it be family members, friends. Like it was just complete isolation, silence, like trying to get help, and then just being so discouraged every single time, whether it be like, try this online therapist, and it just always became so like transactional. Like each and every experience is just more disheartening than the other. And then trying to reach out to my school, trying to reach out to my family, and for them to just say things like, "Oh, you're not trying hard enough. Just do your homework." Like I think that's the point where I felt that I couldn't do anything for myself, and I wasn't being seen.
Yes.
And so I made the decision to leave university. And then I went home, and I think that was still a difficult point as well, because things weren't great there either. So I went home, and I just, being out of that environment for sure lifted it off my shoulders. I think like I really wish I could do school, but mentally it was just like it was taking a lot of life out of me. The feeling of like putting your energy to doing well on an exam to motivate you was, draining. So once I was getting out of that environment, I think it helped a lot. And then I actually just started working a lot. So I worked at a few restaurants. I worked at like a local Chinese dim sum restaurant, and then, like boba shop. And I was just grinding. I was working like 60 hours a week. And it was just like, it was like distraction. But then that was a upturning point, even if I wasn't doing what I wanted, I was getting out of bed.
Yeah.
I think that was really great for me.
Gave you a sense of purpose.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But then that blends into I really quickly burned myself out because I was working like 3 jobs, 60 hours a week, you know.
Yes.
And then like a light showed up, you know. I started I think at that time it was finding something that makes you feel that sense of accomplishment, of progress. And that's when I started to work out more. So on top of all of this working, you know, I was like, I'm making money, working out, feeling better about myself. And then, you know, I started posting on Twitter.
Did you
And
just decided to start posting? Did it just start as
It
topless
started-
pics?
yeah, I just started with like, you know, like kind of shirtless pics. It started with like, okay, I feel good about
Mhm.
how I feel, my appearance, and I can see. And for me, this is a point of progress, you know.
Mm.
I think at that point when, you know, I was in the middle of school, nothing was getting done, nothing in my life was really progressing.
Mm-mm.
Yes.
This was a point where like I can see change, I can see improvement, I can see like
Mm.
satisfaction, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so then slowly, like, obviously working these jobs, it wasn't paying much.
Mm.
But this, you know, this idea was slowly brewing in my head. I'm like, okay, well, I can work, you know, spend my extra time working out. And then it slowly came together where I was like, okay, what if I give this OnlyFans thing a shot?
Mm-mm. Was OnlyFans just starting at the time, or?
No, it had been around, but honestly, for me, I had no idea what was going on.
Mm.
You know, it was same type of thing, right? Like I would not, had even like very low exposure to understanding how people would, you know, profit from social media. You know, I'd watch like YouTubers and stuff, but like how much money are you making? You don't know all of like
Yeah.
all these like numbers and things, right?
Yeah, yes.
For me, it's like no one in my family had ever done anything
Yeah.
remotely the same, you know.
Yeah.
Understand. Yeah. What's the story around you posting your first video? Was it a collab by yourself? What did that look like?
So I think a lot of mine started just like a solo.
Mm.
And for me, I think it was really, because I had no experience. I didn't really know what I was doing. A lot of those videos were just like very up close, personal, like the selfie camera. And I was just having a good time.
Yeah, yeah.
And for me, the gauge was like, okay, we can start posting. If I can make more than what, if I can make like 75% of what I'm making from all this working, right? Then what if I stop working and then try pursuing this a little more?
Yes.
Within that first month, it was like significantly a lot less work and a lot more money,
Yes.
And so for me, it was a really obvious decision to
Mhm.
like start pushing it a little more, even though I didn't really know what was going on. It was that like the high, the excitement, like, oh,
Mm.
this could be something big.
Yes.
So
Wow. Yeah. And then so you posted your first video, started getting growth, and then how many months before you started deciding, okay, I'm going to pursue this full time, and you quit your old jobs?
it was about 2 or 3 months. So slowly, I had like this work situation. I was trying to get into this really nice, like, it was just like a really like fancy diner. So it was like, before I was kind of just working like more of like that family style food. So it was very quick, the service isn't paying very well. Trying to do like a nice Italian, like, bottle service type of deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was training for that job. And then I had like a work instance where like a coworker was threatening me. And I'm like, you know what? I can make more money than this. I'm gonna go. And I quit that job.
On the spot?
Yeah. Because I was like, at that point, it was like right at the tipping point. I'm like, I don't need to deal with ass coworkers.
Yes.
Yes.
I can deal with myself.
Yes.
And so I left that job. Then I was like, oh, my schedule's opened up. And I started, traveling, meeting people for work. And yeah, from there, it feels like yesterday.
Wow.
Mm.
That's crazy that you've kind of come from rock bottom, and then from rock bottom, you've had a light, as you call it, and from there you've turned it into this.
If you're enjoying the video so far and you want to see more collabs like this, then follow Tucky and Peter and subscribe.
And then, how did family find? I'm assuming the family found out.
So it's in very traditional Vietnamese American fashion. So almost all of my aunts and a lot of my cousins, they work at nail salons. A gay guy came into my cousin's salon and just starts yapping about me. Like, oh my God, look at him. Do you know him? And it's not even like one of my blood cousins. It's like the married in cousin
Oh,
that doesn't talk to me,
wow.
right? It's like so like ingrained. And so slowly it's like, oh, well, this cousin that's kind of outside the family, she starts talking with like the semi woke cousins, right? But they're like, oh my God, did you hear about this? They're like slowly just like sharing. And then
Had you moved out at this point?
no.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
The tipping point is actually really upsetting. It's because there was one of my cousins I became really close to. And she was the one that continued to spread it to not only like my other cousins, to like my aunts. And they were the ones that got involved, like searching it online, finding it, and they showed my mom.
Yeah.
Were you ever thinking of coming out to your mom or parents?
So, I mean, in my head, I sit down and I think, I'm like, okay, well, I have the experience of when I came out as gay. And I think a lot of it is really similar in the sense that even at this point, I was traveling so much. You knowing this information does nothing, right? It only causes her to worry more, to
Yes.
start thinking in her head. And I think like same thing as like her finding out that I'm gay. She doesn't really understand the difference between like gay and trans, and like in her head the miseducation and like the misunderstanding of it all just becomes a bigger bubble.
Yes.
For the Vietnamese, they only have one word for it, which is Bede.
Yeah, exactly. And so for me, it was always like, this is my biggest fear, is her figuring out. And am I willing to tell her? No, because it's not bringing anyone any good. You know, it
Yes.
would bring me some sense of security, but it's just, especially if I'm traveling and I'm gone all the time, I'm able to, when she doesn't know, you know, I'm able to go travel, come back home, see them, support them however they need, and then go and do my thing, enjoy my life, and also have this, you know, secured and closed. Oh, and then I was also like, but I don't want to hide this to her, you know? And I was planning, like, let me debrief it with her, right? Because I think if you just say, like, oh, I do OnlyFans, to be like, what the fuck, right?
Yeah.
But for me, it's like, hey, so I do this work where I'm able to choose who I work with. It's extremely safe and extremely on me, you know? I get to travel, I get these experiences, I get to do what I wanted to do. I get to do what I wanted to go to college for, you know? Like, I wanted to go to college, I wanted to travel and be able to experience the world.
So then the conversation with mum, I'm assuming, did that happen?
So, you know, I mean, everything. I was kind of getting the notion from my mom, like, hey, people are going to find out. And, you know, for me, it's like, yeah, I see that, but I didn't think it was going to come straight to my mom. And then I get a call from her. She's at work and she's like, you need to tell me what you're doing right now. Like, you have been lying to me. You have been saying you're traveling and what for. Like, you need to be upfront with me. Tell me what you do. And it's so obvious to me, like, one, someone in the family ratted me out. And two, like, I have nothing to say in this situation. You know, once that idea was planted in her head, I lost all control.
Yes.
I didn't have a chance to even bring it up to her in a calm sense. And then at that point, she was so infuriated that nothing in that comes out of my mouth will make it any better.
Correct. Yeah.
And then like that was my turn where I was silent, like tears rolling out of my eyes, and it's just like it's that point where I was fearing this moment for so long, and it finally, you know, exploded in my face.
Yeah.
It's kind of felt like that everything that I did up to that point to make her feel like I was a good person, you know, like someone that she could be proud of, is just all shattered in her mind. You know, where all of the strength that I built up from making this life for myself, where I was like, I'm so glad that I did this for myself. All of that energy, all of that happiness, all of that excitement, it just like, you know, it just left.
Yep.
And I'm stuck here just like at such a standstill. Is it gonna come to an end? Do I have to force it? You know, I didn't know what the future was, and I didn't know. And it was also like, can I even stay at home at this point?
How old were you and how far into the OF journey was this?
This was a year in,
Yeah.
so we didn't make it that far.
So
sadly.
you're like, so you're like 22 at this stage.
22, yeah.
Yeah. You're still doing it. What happened?
It was the similar thing where it was so disheartening for her to talk about these things, and we would continually have really difficult conversations. For me, it was like, I want my life to continue this way, and I want you to see that this is good for me. All the negative things that you see, that like maybe I throw this person online, but this person here right in front of you gets to experience the world. That's always what I wanted her to see, you know? Like, I always wanted to push forward that, like, I think you saw how miserable I was, you know, like trying to do what you wanted, trying to go to school, trying to get the degree. And then here you see me now with this opportunity that I'm happy with. And you see, you know, like, another thing is like, you see me grew up, and I was never like hostile. I was never trying to cause harm to other people, you know? For me, this is like, it's like, I'm not trying to like push it on her or anything, you know, like, this is my own thing so that I can live my life. And that's what I always wanted her to know. But for her, it was, you know, it was just like, these conversations were so difficult. It was just like constant attack. Like, you are the worst possible human being. You've done the most terrible deed you could have done. And a part of religion and a part of motherhood, you know, like, you're selling your body, and you know, I got to the point where she's like, I don't want to see you. If I see you, the only thing that I can think about is how disappointed I am, how dark your future looks, how much you disappointed me. And so from there, it was, you know, we stopped talking, and I had to find my way out, because this is where the point where it was like, I was traveling a lot, and I was able to be myself in all these different places, but my home was, you know, gone. There was no more home in Nebraska. There's people that were just talking behind my back, and you know, seeing me in such a terrible manner, I think. And I knew that I couldn't stay. So from there, it was like a big step of, you know, like, where do I go? Not having any family anywhere else, having very few people that I even know that moved away, you know. And I found a home in Chicago, and so
you moved there, you got your own place, and then you just kept doing OF since.
So that's when I think it really did hit a bump still. That feeling of, I was doing it all very quietly, you know. I think when I initially started, there was such a high to, like, there was such an excitement. I was becoming my own person. I was someone that people were excited to see, people were excited to watch. And then when all the people that you surrounded yourself with, you know, have changed their perspective on you completely, it really shattered my self-confidence. And I didn't feel that energy of I didn't want to be seen, you know. It got to the point where I was pushing so hard for a year to just continue, like, exposure, to get out there, and then it's like such a anger and frustration. And I guess one of the consequences that I saw with OnlyFans, but never fully embodied, that the social consequences between your relationships. Just because, you know, I think, like you said, there's other people, other creators, family is like super open, they don't give a fuck. But for me, it was like, I mean, I have one family, and I have permanently changed my relationship with all of them. And so once I moved to Chicago and I kind of got into my own space, it still became really difficult to find that sense of
like a
that,
home.
yeah, of home, of like that I can continue doing this and building it into something that I can not hide, you know. I think it was still just such a balance, because I knew that, because I didn't know what the future would be like. If I continue to do this, would it always have a strain on my family? If them already knowing will never change, and whether I begin or end, it has like permanently change how they see me. I think that was a lot of what I was going through, and I think still, you know, it's guilt, it's shame, it's figuring out to find that place in myself where I can rebuild what they took from me, you know, rebuild myself to feel proud of what I've done, you know.
And over the past year, have you felt like you've been discovering that? Has that feeling been coming back?
I think the great part is with travel, is that I do feel it a lot. You know, it's like that travel bug, but it's that where you get that opportunity to go out and explore. And I think that's one thing that draws me back, right? Like I could have not been able to do this experience without OnlyFans. And then meeting people that walk all different walks of life, that are so artsy, creative, and exciting, and like people that are proud of your work, people that see themselves, you know, that are feeling empowered by it, and that are just, you know, more open to having conversations about it. I feel like I was doing it for a year, and, you know, meeting people that would know me, but just not even have an actual conversation, like not be ready to understand what it really is and what it means to me over just, you know, some videos, right?
Yes.
It does sound like your whole extended family, that whole side of you, is very enclosed in a very small community in Nebraska, right? And they have a very specific view of the world. And even everyone inside that town has a very specific view of the world. But your lifestyle doesn't really match or fit. And once you've moved into a bigger city, and once you especially started traveling, because we've also experienced this as well, after we've traveled a lot more outside of Melbourne, you meet a lot of people that are very smart, very interesting, like you said, very creative, and they just see the world differently. And I think that's more home than even your old home was.
For sure.
Yeah. Home for us has kind of not become a place anymore. It's the people we meet, the friends we meet, and funnily, they're all scattered around the globe in almost anywhere but our own city, right? So I understand when you said travel, I didn't understand it when you said the word travel. When you started to explain the concept of how you meet people, that I really understand. It really gives you a broader perspective of life and what's possible. Because up till now, your idea of what's possible, what life looks like, has been Nebraska, your family, right? You've seen people getting married, you've realized you don't fit in. But once you kind of escape that bubble and you start to experience different cultures, different ways of life, even how different people live, right? You start to understand that what you're raised with and taught is the way of life is like a small fraction of what is possible, which I think is what you're touching on, that you've discovered
for sure
through being able to travel.
It's like such a unique opportunity, you know. It's truly that you will not be able to meet these people any other way. And that I think in your mind you can think a type of way, but not seeing a success story is really difficult. Seeing people thriving, seeing people enjoy, seeing people like that might not be settled in one place, but find so much happiness and home everywhere.
Yes.
I think that's something that like is so exciting, you know. It's so attractive.
Yeah. And being able, this whole journey, these ups and downs, finally moving to Chicago, meeting people has allowed you to meet one very special person. Hello, Mr. Chihua. Would you like to join us?
When we were at the bar the other day, when I saw you two, I'm like, oh wow, they're like super cute lovebirds. Very affectionate, very cute.
Aw.
Techie and I are long past that phase, but
Yeah, I think what surprised me most when I saw you guys is the relationship that you have. Like, despite as open-minded as we might try to be, I think we still have a perception of like what an OnlyFans creator's life looks like, right? And meeting you the past couple of days when we're at Neon and everything, my reality has been very shattered. So there's two really striking moments that I remember over our past few days, our encounters. The first one is like you guys at the club, how much fun you have together. I can see that you guys take care of each other. And then yesterday night when we were having dinner and you had your stomach ache, right? Chihua took such good care of you. And I could tell he's like, oh shit, I got to make sure Sam's okay. So those few memories, I think, really paint a picture of who you are as well as who you guys are as a couple that takes such good care of each other and the very loving relationship that you have. But like why I wanted to bring Chihua in, I think it's so interesting that the type of love that you show and how caring you are, which is like so jarring from like the idea that Sam's an OnlyFans creator. Like, where does this come from? How do you feel about Sam doing
Deep breath.
I
OF?
actually didn't know what he does. I mean, we met on Instagram. I look at his profile. I told my friends, but they don't believe me because they think I probably already stalked him and they already knew who he was. So we chatted online and then we met and then we spent maybe 2 days, 3 days until, I mean, I think he always knew what I do for work because it's very obvious on my social media. And then when I asked him, what do you do for work? And he started telling me content creator. Then I saw his X Twitter and I was like, wow, you have a lot of followers.
You weren't like, oh damn, this content good. You're just like, wow.
But then the
impressive
thing
following.
is, I actually have watched his work before. So everybody, I'm sure everybody has.
Yes.
So I was like, okay, so I put 2 and 2 together. But because what our interaction for the first 2-3 days was so, I would say like very true. It's not, because my idea of him from his social media was somebody that's crazy, wild, because that's his image online. But in person, he's totally different. We were talking about food, cooking. He loves cooking that he doesn't even know. Like he's really good at it, but he never really cooked before until like we were cooking together. Well, he was cooking, he was doing the cooking. And we talked about like movies and traveling because then he started telling me about travel, coming to Asia, Taiwan, Vietnam, and I was born in Taiwan and I moved to Chicago 20 years ago. So I can find, we find a lot of connections and we were just bonding so well. In the beginning, when I first found out what he does, of course, in the back of my head, I was like, oh, that's different. That's very different. Like, I was thinking about, like, I am okay. Like, but I'm also worried if my friends would be okay, if my family would be okay. But it turned out, like, I literally took him to meet all my good friends within 24 hours of us meeting.
I like this one. You come see my friend tomorrow.
So
He roped me in because he said, do you want free matcha dessert? I'm like, who doesn't want free matcha
You got it
dessert?
with the free. The real estate agent said free and you went.
yeah. Well, we have a friend who does a lot of food content, and then we were going to like a matcha place. I know he loves sweet stuff, like dessert. So he came and he met literally everyone, and all my friends are very accepting, and they don't care, what people do, as long as you're a good person, and that's the most important for me and for my friends. And yeah, so, and I think it was never really an issue, and I think we are very open. We have very open communication.
Yes.
So I think that's very important. Like we talk about everything beforehand, so I know what's gonna happen. And when he does, like, when something happens, he tells me. So it's always like, I don't find out from other people. Like he tells me first, I tell him first, and I think that's very important.
what's the kind of journey been as your families have found out? Like, do your families know? What does that look like?
So I got to meet his family as a friend, and he did the same. And so they're both very nosy and asking like, oh, so who's he?
Is it, this is just a friend, like a friend?
But to your family, right?
To my family,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
To
Well,
his
we met Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
They know.
They
A friend
know.
does not come over for Thanksgiving.
That is true.
Wait, you told them that I was an international student who doesn't have a place to go to during the holiday.
The full story is like, oh,
Oh, Sam's never lied to us before. This story is 100% legit.
so this is Li Wen. He's from Taiwan. No family for Thanksgiving.
Did
He
you
come
have to put on a
home.
fake accent for the whole time you were there?
No,
We were
think
thinking about it though.
I wasn't. I think he was nervous, and then I was actually fine. Like I know I was gonna meet his. I have met his sisters before, one of them, and I was meeting another one, a brother and the parents. I was actually really okay meeting them.
Were you freaking out?
I would have never thought that I'd bring someone home for probably the next like 10 years. You know, for me, it's like, obviously there's been a lot of concern with my mom, and I think my dad fully doesn't understand. There's been a lot of points where he kind of still thinks I'm straight, you know. So for me, this was a big step. And I think as well, even though my sisters are supporting, even though my brother, he, you know, does not feel negatively about it, it's still a lot for me. You know, it's such a new experience, and it's something that I really cherish, and I'm really glad that it happened, but it was still kind of, tension was, you know, things were not all resolved, and then we're adding another marble to the mix.
Was this your first relationship as well, or?
This is not my first, but this is my first like longer relationship that's more involved and more like one of my first relationships that's been fully, you know, we are able to live in the same city. And so
What made you want to bring him to Thanksgiving? Because you would have thought that, oh, there is risk. There is definitely risk. But what was the thought process?
there was a point where my mom had said, similar, you know, like make a life for yourself and then you can date whoever you'd like. And then she had also told my sisters, you know, like that she was looking for a partner that could, you know, help me, you know, in my career path in my future. And so I think it was a really good point where Chihua sets a really good example, and he's like extremely successful, very well spoken. And so I thought it was a really good opportunity to bring him.
He was like, he was worried that I was gonna say something wrong because I'm always crazy, actually. Like, I would say
But,
things.
you know, I'm like, let's do a little rehearsal.
We have
And,
something
you know,
rehearsal. But all the rehearsal, I purposely screw up. So he was like really nervous what was gonna happen.
Yeah.
But of course, I know how to interact with Asian parents.
He's a professional. That's his
Yeah,
job.
I'm really good at that. I show up with best like gifts.
best
Yeah,
dress.
yeah, and then like
Slideshow, plan first. Would you like to
oh
buy
my gosh,
this?
I actually we were at like it was like a family after dinner. People were watching his sister's engagement video, and Sam was like, "Chia, why don't you play your real estate videos?"
I can't play my videos. You play your videos.
Yeah, so
Wait, I thought you told them he was an international student.
You know, and
but then
then,
they told the parents. They said, "Hey, play my video." So I have a lot of real estate,
Yes.
really nice videos. So I started playing, and then mom looked at me and said, "Oh, you're a realtor. You're rich." That's what she said. I just laugh. I said, "Yeah." So she knows what I do, and she knows I basically play like my story on TV for 3 minutes for them, so that everybody learn about me in 3 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about like picture perfect boyfriend entry. And then you brought Sam to visit your parents?
So then, actually, he met my parents first because we went to Taipei
in October.
around Halloween
before.
time. So he met my sister. He ate with my parents. I don't know. Oh, my mom knows we're together. I don't know if my father knows, but I mean they're really open-minded. didn't ask me anything. We all went to dinner. How did you meet my mom? Just like, oh yeah.
So he's like, okay, wait downstairs. I'm gonna go grab something. And this cute little lady, she comes with a hat, mask, on a little bike. And his mom, how old is she?
She's like 64.
She's 64. She's like 5 foot. And she comes out on her bike. And then she looks at me. She's like, I'm Chihua mama. I see you later. And she bikes away.
Yeah.
It's the cutest thing. And I'm like, I think I just met your mom.
Yeah, because she was biking to get a car. So we were all getting to her car to go somewhere.
Yeah.
So that's how they met. And we went to dinner. And my sister speaks English really well too. She lives in Boston. So we all talk. And yeah. So I think it went pretty well with my family.
Does your family know what Sam does?
I'm pretty sure my mom does because my mom has TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. My mom's on all social media. She posts a lot of videos. So I'm sure because I've posted him and I'm sure my mom has clicked his profile to...
She has many degrees, right? She's
Yeah.
a smart girl.
Yeah, my
There's
mom's
no-
a doctor, like PhD. She knows all her stuff.
Click the link in bio.
Yeah. So I don't... Yeah. But my mom never asked me in specific. And I think she knows for the respect, this is not important. And I think my mom knows that I'm happy being with him. Because I think that my mom told my sister or someone that, it's good that I have somebody. Because I was single for 10 years before I met him. Over 10 years, I think. Yeah. Yeah, I was single for...
Married to your work.
Yeah, I was working a lot. I still work a lot. But I just, now just like finding balance between, vacation, being with him, and work. But I still work a lot. And then sometimes he would tell me, you should come cuddle, do this. Yeah.
Do you travel often with Sam?
So we,
It's been like our 3rd trip together.
went to New York.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right? And Omaha. And we went
Oh, a lot, actually.
Yeah, and a lot. And then we went to Taipei and Thailand in October. And this trip we're in Thailand and Vietnam. So
Is it part of Sam's work trip that you follow, or are these purely recreational?
It's mostly recreational.
Yeah, it's not.
Oh,
work.
wow.
Yeah, Omaha, New York.
I'll fit in my work before or after. But
Yeah,
Oh,
like this trip he hasn't worked, but last trip.
we're working.
Oh, you're working right now. That's true. Sorry.
We're not working, we're having fun.
We're having fun. I love this. And yeah, last trip when we were in Taipei, he actually one day he told me he was going to work. I said okay, and then in Thailand So and I think it's good. I always I encourage him to meet people that he want to work with when we're traveling, so then he can get some work done, and then later on he can edit the videos and worry about that later.
Yeah, shoot content first and then you can worry about everything else later.
Yeah.
at any point did you feel like or had a fear that you weren't going to find anyone with the OF line of work?
I think it became harder and harder because the more that I kind of began to think about it, the more I not even like romanticize, it became more and more unrealistic in the mind of like, oh, how am I supposed to have this lovely relationship and also continue doing OnlyFans and have my life and my spirit in both? And there was so much, doubt. I didn't know how it was all going to work out. And it never would have resolved without having to actually meet Chihua, spend time with him, Like, there's something that's like, it's really special.
He was really nervous when we first met. Like, one of the first things he told me, I think like 2 weeks into meeting, you're like, oh, just so you know, I'm not looking for a relationship. I'm not looking to date. Like and then you explained to me that you were like traveling a lot and this would not work. So then I told him, yeah, that's fine.
He said, I don't take no for an answer.
Well, yeah.
Real estate agent.
He said, I can sell.
Then I just let it be, right? We just continue to hang out. So I think like after like 2 months, he was the one that told people that we were dating. And then at first, At first, he was like, "No, we're not dating. We're just friends." Then 2 months later, we were at a friends gathering. He told people, "Oh, we're dating now." I was like, "Oh, we're dating." And then I think 3-4 months later, one day I remember we were at friends party, and you basically told people we're boyfriends, right? Is that like I was like, wait, right? Is it right? It's after. No, you told me something, but like it's hinting that we're boyfriends, right? Like,
He's
mark your
mine.
days.
Everyone stay away.
Then I was like, oh, okay.
It was for me. The point was, I think there was just another low, and it was like kind of a smaller dip of just like emotions, feeling kind of down. And I realized that Chihao's presence is really important to me, and that it can really lift me up, and even just like be there, even if like, sometimes I like don't know the words to say or don't know what I want to hear. He's just there and he's persistent. And so
I guess to wrap up, you guys have said some things, I guess, to us. Chihua, maybe you can start first. Is there anything you would like to say to Sam? 30 seconds.
Okay. I know like this, your job is not the easiest to do, and people will always look at you differently, kind of. But I've told you many times, I think you should be proud of what you're doing and don't be scared. And then, just be out there, and then I will always support you.
Anything you want to say to Chihua, Sam?
I'm really glad that I have someone that, puts this much effort into me and sees me. When you look at me, when you talk to me, I can feel it really sincerely. And so I'm really glad that I have this connection. And I couldn't have felt this any other way.
So cute. On the note of content creating, I want to talk a bit about the business side of things, right? So what I think a lot of people fail to see, they see content and they just see adult content, and that's where their mind goes. But how have you dealt with the financial side of OnlyFans? For example, pricing. Do you price at $20? Do you price at $10? And what has that learning experience been like for you?
When I started, it was $10, right? And it was just like very accessible, and it was also just things that I was not enjoying. It was kind of just like, oh, I'm just going to choose this person. It's all numbers based. And it wasn't building an aesthetic. It wasn't building myself, because it wasn't what I will typically go for. What is my attraction? This type of thing. It was kind of just like, let's see what we could do. Moving forward, it's more building the world that I want people to see, not trying to create like this facade. And so I've raised the price, and I've put a lot of the pressure of a timely schedule, and then now just figuring out more of how do I shape this more into my own experience, and then worrying about the business side, I guess, on that side. Because I think before, initially, I was making more money, but I was burning myself so quickly,
Understand.
I was traveling, not getting to enjoy, not getting to meet people, not getting to do what I initially set out to do. I think that's so much of it, of that, as much as, it could just be work. For me, it's so much more, For me, it's putting myself out of my environment, seeing what I want to see, and then getting myself into the spaces and those experiences that I feel more confident in myself and feel more confident in like the story that I have to share and, the content that I want to create.
That makes sense.
What has been the most, I guess, unexpected thing about OF for you? Was it the financials? Was it the recording? Anything that you just didn't realize?
I think I will say the filming for sure. I don't think people realize like when you're in the bedroom, you want to feel pleasure. You're not thinking about how you look from a third person perspective.
Yeah.
That's the kind of issue that I think I definitely run into. And then it's also the idea of like oh, this would look good, but it's uncomfortable. You know, you want to have that, you want to capture the pleasure with also getting, you know, a good visual angle so that people can see it. I think that's one of the difficult parts. And then in terms of editing, sometimes it is just very difficult when you end up with like a clip and you're like, oh, the AC is blasted the whole time. You can't hear anything. Or, you know, like things get cut off, and it's figuring out like sometimes it is salvaging, sometimes it is like for me it's, you know, personal choice, like let's scrap that one.
Like we've talked about your whole journey, right? Where you've had it really tough and then you've kind of found your way, and even now it really feels like you're still finding your way, and I think that's the journey of life. We're always finding our way. So any advice for someone who's at rock bottom right now, who was where you were, not in terms of doing OnlyFans, but just finding their way in life? Yeah, what would you say?
It's hard to not know where you're going, but finding those little things that just spark joy, that get you, you know, almost like mindlessly lost in excitement and curiosity. Even if people aren't supportive of it, or what, it doesn't seem plausible or beneficial to you in any way. I think it's so important to hold on to those things rather than shutting those ideas down. The more of your I feel like the more of your spirit that dies, and the more, that's when you fall slowly more into helplessness. There's so much that each and every person can offer themselves into the world, and I think the more you shy away from it, the more it just becomes dimmed, and it burns out, and there's less and less for you to pull yourself out of the hole.
Yeah. So don't downplay your uniqueness and the things that spark joy in life, because it's more important than what you give it.
Run towards your curiosities and what brings you joy. Yeah. And then any advice for anyone considering doing OnlyFans?
Yeah. So techie.
What advice?
As if you know, one of us may or may not be considering. What would your advice be?
I would say, you know, have a sit down, good conversation about it. Think about it only, you know, not only in a business perspective, but in a very personal, real perspective. I think the things that that I understood and fully didn't take into account was obviously relationships with other people and family, and how you're able to compensate for that. For me, it became that in my mind, I was okay with a lot of things, but I realized I isolated myself because I knew a lot of the people I surrounded myself would not be okay with it. Understand yourself and how much it takes from you. For some people, it can be very compartmentalized. For other people, it can shape a lot of their sexual life. It can shape a lot of their social life. So knowing what you want to get out of it and not shaking from that, and also not selling yourself short. Make sure that you are fully aware of what you have to offer, and don't be afraid. And I think even now I found that I'm still very scared to show parts of myself, but finding those little things where you can bring more of yourself and make OnlyFans empowering to you.
Wise words from a wise man. And then we just have some very quick questions.
Rapid fire questions. As an Asian OF creator, what stereotypes do you enjoy breaking?
I mean, I just told you this one. It's like, we don't need to be Asian. We are just hot, you know. We don't need to press our ethnicity. We need to press that there are people out there that are hot, that are confident, you know. And I think that's the most important part about it. I don't want people searching out that type of energy, because it's just coming from within, seeing people that look like you succeeding and feeling that excitement of sex that everyone enjoys. And I think breaking, you know, Asian bottom sub stereotypes is just, if you enjoy bottoming, and you know I do, like, do it, but own it, you know.
First paycheck as an OF creator?
Yeah. How did you feel? How much was it?
First month OnlyFans, I made 5,000. And so that's where I made the decision. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yep.
And the feeling was, you know, before that I was just a broke college student, and I was a broke kid, you know. That feeling, I think it was so nice because I knew that I would be okay. You know, I knew that I understood what I can survive off of, and now there's opportunity for more. I think it was, you know, as much as it was like a few $1,000s for me, it was something. I don't know. It felt so sweet, you know.
I think it's because you were raised in such a financially unstable family or childhood. Once you got that paycheck, maybe you felt more like secure. You finally felt safer than you've ever felt financially before, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was just so hopeful. I think after it all came at such a dark time, finding that space to like slowly move around and, you know, make that money go farther than $5,000 for sure. I was able to do that. So.
And then lastly, if the audience want to find you, what's the best way they can find you, support you, see your work?
Instagram's a good way to start. What I realize is Twitter's a little too naughty minded. It's a little more fun to ease into it. So I have my Instagram.
As Chihua says, see some wild pictures first.
Instagram, if you want to get wild with it. My Twitter is there and diving.
We will put all this in the description somewhere on screen or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Perfect.
I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your story, being willing to share it with us, with the audience. It's the journey that you've been on. I think what I've realized the last few months, every person that I meet that I think is a good person that I get along with has, without a doubt, their own crazy story. Your story is like incredible. The struggles that you've had, you've hit rock bottom, and you've still found the energy to keep going, to come back up, right? It says a lot about you. Since I met you day one, you have this bubbly, fun, high energy personality. And despite having grown up with all of that, like, you are still such a spark and like a bright light in the sky. It's a real honor, a privilege to be able to sit opposite you and have this conversation. So I just want to say, like, I'm really, really grateful and thank you so much for being willing to come and speak with us.
We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. This is, I mean, I've been waiting. I told you, I've been waiting for something or something to share more of my story. And this is like the best opportunity I could have possibly had. So, yay. Okay, time to film my collab. Are you ready?
Oh, yes. Okay.
Let's go.
Second part of the collab.
All right, let's go upstairs. Peter's too slow.
Peter's too slow.
Thanks for watching to the end of this video, guys. We hope you enjoyed it. He forgot his line. If there's anything you guys want us to talk about, please leave it in the comments below.